Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's me, Teri Hunter. I'm trying to put my phone on airplane mode so I don't blow anybody's ears out during the live. Good morning, Catherine, and good morning, Katerina. You can see Lucky's in his little cone. He's had an allergy breakout, so we're keeping him from licking his paws. They're kind of a little bit inflamed today. A few things I want to announce. Today is May 7th. And it is the day that Venus is moving into Cancer. So this is very applicable because our wonderful small wildflowers is taking the day off. She has some things going on and I want to share them with you, but I'm going to share them when we get a few more people in the room because she could use our prayers. Good morning, Mickey. Good morning, Jay Sean. Good morning, Nikki. Good morning, Visalia. Good to see everybody here. Good morning, Lucy Rose. I'm so happy to see you. I can really use your help today. Miss Small Wildflowers will be taking today off. And everybody in the United States, next Sunday is Mother's Day. And so we will be taking off next Sunday. The live will not be, we won't be doing it. I'm doing this because Small Wildflowers is a mom and she has spent the last 5 Mother's Days with me on the show. And I want to make sure that she has some time to take care of herself. Hi, Cece Pups. I'll try that, Cece Pups. Thank you very much. Okay, so let me just tell you what's happening. Small Wildflowers is having a little bit of an issue with her granddaughter. Her granddaughter's not doing well. They took her to the ER yesterday, and they had to do some tests, and they're awaiting the results of the tests. She's feeling the little one's only 4 years old. She's just a wee baby. And if you guys would give prayers to Small and to Teeny Wildflowers, we'll call her wee Wildflowers, we would really, really appreciate it. I told her this morning that prayers from the pack are very powerful. So I just wanted to let you know that. And I'm going to reiterate that a few times throughout the broadcast as people join the show. Okay. So I think we are coming into not only a tee-up week is the way I want to put it. We have Venus is moving into Cancer, which is, warm and fuzzy. She doesn't mind being in Cancer, but she can be a little bit squirrely in Cancer. She can feel a little emotional and a little sometimes insecure. And we are seeing this week the Sun and Uranus join together. It's actually going to be conjunct on the 9th, but they dance around each other all week. The sun moves very quickly, but it moves about 1 degree a day. So if we do a 2-degree orb, we've got 4 days this week where Uranus could be really kind of bringing in unexpected things, both things that are positive and things that are challenging. We tend to, as humans, go to the challenging dynamic, but I think oftentimes this can offer us an epiphany or a point of awareness or a piece of information that moves our story forward. We also have Mercury will be stationing to go direct actually next Sunday. So that's interesting. And I think that's interesting only because for me, this Mercury retrograde started in a way that was very, it felt very focused to me. When I start to do my astrology work or any work, I start with a meditation. And when I went to do the Mercury retrograde meditation, Spirit led me to be inspired to go see where the moon was when the retrograde started. What time was that retrograde beginning? And the moon was exactly conjunct at 15 degrees Taurus, which is the Gemini degree. Now Mercury is retrograding and will start its direct motion at the 5th degree, which is the Leo degree. And I think this is very powerful because the moon is our emotional meter. It's how we give and we receive love, how we perceive ourselves and our value many times. We're very emotional creatures, humans. So this retrograde felt as if it was focused on my emotional body. How am I responding? How am I taking in things? Am I aligned to the things I've created and am I basking in them? Or am I just looking down the road at what's next? And that's what I found myself doing. So I've spent a lot of time being in the present moment and thanking spirit for the things that I sometimes overlook. Sometimes in the morning when Lucky rolls over and on his back and he stretches, it's the cutest thing in the world to me. And this week I was very focused on, being grateful and being appreciative and being aware of these blessed moments that I'm living in. We have coming up, Mars is in the later degrees of Cancer this week. And by next Saturday, Mars will be beginning its T-square with Pluto. And I think this is super powerful because I believe that, these are co-rulers of Scorpio. We just had a Scorpio lunar eclipse. So when Mars is in Leo and Pluto is in that still in that 0 degree of Aquarius, I believe this conversation is Pluto saying to Mars, are you assimilating? Are you incorporating? Are you acting upon what you have learned when you were in Gemini for 7 months? And then you went into the emotional sign of Cancer to assimilate not only your own emotions, but how you process the emotions of others. Because the T-square to the nodes feels as if this is an opportunity to sort of be more aware and more intentional rather than falling into that sort of human veil of repetitive patterns. And a little bit of that is discontent. So I think this is important because the human by nature tends to judge their value and their happiness. What'd you do today? What'd you do today? I didn't do anything. Oh, you're not valuable. Well, look at this guy over here. He's not doing anything. He's just laying around and he's super valuable. So I want to offer that because Mars is going to make this T-square and then Venus is going to do it. And Venus is going to do it 3 times because Venus is going to go all the way up to the 28th degree of Leo. Then she's going to venture back into the early degrees of Leo. And at the same time, and it's not going to be an exact orb, but it'll be close enough to feel it. That's the point I'm making. So I think that when we have this information, we can set intentions and then use the highest vibrations of these planets. So this week, with the Sun and Uranus being conjunct in Taurus, it could really bring up these epiphanies about how you operate in a way. And if you're operating on some sort of historic pattern, or you're stepping into this energy of being aware that part of the human process is to kind of go through the veil of unknowing to feeling not valuable, and then coming into these moments of feeling my value and redefining how that looks. So that's where I'm going with this. I've had some really weird dreams myself. Oh, how nice. So Sunshine, you're going to have your Venus return, which happens about once every 2 years or so, or a year, a little bit over. That's fun. Okay. So be prepared. And I want to offer this too, because with Mars in Cancer, a random thing happened in my neighborhood, which I thought was interesting because I don't know the city's chart, but the United States has a Sagittarius rising sign, which makes the 12th house in Placidus part Sagittarius and part Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars. This week, we had 2 hotels. The 12th house rules hotels. Their security teams got into a brawl, 20 men all fighting each other, and they're all owned by the same parent company. And I kind of laughed a little bit because I thought to myself, if I look at the United States chart, and even though that may not be applicable to the city, it puts that Scorpio sort of in the 12th house energy of hotels. And then we're getting triggered by Mars's energy in Cancer, defending your homeland, defending your property, defending your place. And these 2 hotels are across the street from each other. Okay. So we're going to jump into our readings, but now since we have a few people in the room, I want to make that my announcement one more time. Okay, so Small Wildflowers is taking today off because her granddaughter is having a health issue, and they were in the ER yesterday, and they did some lab work, but they don't have any information yet as a result of the lab work. So I told her to just rest and relax. And, she's worried about her daughter, her granddaughter. And we're also to honor, because I know she won't do it if we don't take the day off. Small wildflowers will show up no matter what is going on in her world. So I want to honor her on Mother's Day next Sunday. So I'm going to do a video, but we won't be live next Sunday. So letting you know. And if you all would send prayers for Small, and her granddaughter's name is Ileana. And I've been calling her Ileana Flowers, which I think is such a pretty name. I don't know if that's really her name. I'm pretty sure it's not, but Spirit will know what you're talking about. You can also call her Wee Flowers if you want, Wee Wildflowers. She's 4 years old. Okay, so there we go. And thank you, Lucy Rose, for being here. I'm so appreciative you'll be here to help me with the timestamps. I will get the chapters done by tomorrow morning. I've got a full day after the show today. So let's jump in. We're starting with Taurus. Our first, beautiful. Here we have the Empress. The Empress is very Venusian. It's very fertile. It's very, here she sits very comfortably. She feels very bountiful. A lot of good things are happening. And I want to offer it this way because for my Tauruses, happy birthday if it's your birthday this week. This is about, really capitalizing on the things that make you feel full and feel alive and feel valuable and feel well nurtured and loved. When I look at this, I feel as if this woman has no doubt of her value and her love. And she's a very powerful energy. She sort of trumps the Queen's energy. So let's look and see, because we have Jupiter on the 17th, which is technically next week, entering Taurus. As it does, it's going to start a conjunction with that North Node. And that conjunction is going to get triggered by a T-square that dominates the summer. First, the T-square starts between Pluto and Mars and engages the nodes, and then Venus comes into play. So I think it's important because I think Mars and Pluto are having a conversation of like, are you willing to be brave? Are you willing to literally Mars, are you willing to stop being angry and blaming other people for wherever your blocks are? Or are you willing to look at them as the stepping stones to be more resourceful? And Mars is looking at Pluto and going, get out of my face, dude. I'm not really appreciative of that. I don't want to do that right now. And Pluto's saying, look, if you don't dig deep into your pattern, buddy, you're never going to be happy. And that's the karmic dynamic to the nodes. I literally think they're like bros having an argument right now, even though they are cooperative, because Mars is the co-ruler of Scorpio, and the lunar eclipse was starting a new cycle of the moon for the next year, where the full moon precedes the new moon. And Mars ruled both of these solar eclipses. Mars ruled the solar eclipse in Aries, and it ruled the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So there's a lot going on here about getting real with yourself, And then Venus is going to come in, okay? And Venus is going to say, I want to start to make money from my stuff. I want to start to use my skills, my voice, my talents. And so here we go. This is very exciting. And Taurus, Jupiter moving into your house, whether it's your sun, your moon, your rising. And if you have any personal planets, this is really an opportunity to dig deep into what you believe about yourself and build upon that. All right, let's see what the angels have to say. Our first angel is Layla. The second is Athena. The third is Bethany, and the final is Grace and Antoinette. Now, I also want to kind of chat up, because if your birthday is this week and the sun is conjunct Uranus on your solar return, this is really a liberating energy. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're super nervous or worried. It's more as if you've started to integrate everything you've been learning, and now you're like, hey, I think I can do this. I think I can make this happen. And I want to offer it this way, because the platform of belief and the platform of checking how you feel emotionally before you actually go into action is super important. It's why I've started to meditate before. I always meditate before sessions. I always meditated before Sundays, but sometimes I just get into a video mode. I do my notes here and I get all set up, and I'm acting like administratively when I'm doing my videos. And I realized that when I'm impassioned about the videos and when I meditate before I actually do the videos, the audience responds more favorably than when I'm pushing very Saturnian towards my videos. So I want to offer that, because unbeknownst to Taurus, you can sort of take this sort of I've got to plow the field sort of attitude about things, and it can feel a little heavy instead of joyous. All right, so we have Layla being joined by the protection card. We have Athena being joined by the hawk. We have Bethany being joined by the horse. And we have Grace and Antoinette being joined by the letting go card. I think this is really fabulous, because I think this week Uranus really feels kind of, I didn't look to see, to be frank, what aspects Uranus was making to other planets. I was only looking at the conjunction, and I was only looking at Mercury. But I really do think that this is a good week. Uranus is working in your favor to give you like out of the box thoughts, this brilliance that you might not have had before, because as you start to really muse on the things that you want, there's a sense of feeling supported by spirit, feeling very fertile. It's a good time to move forward. And if you've been getting excited, Taurus, about Jupiter moving into your first house, you should be. It's a really great time, because as Uranus and Jupiter start to have a conjunction, this is going to be months down the line. This could be very powerful, especially if you are a content creator, if you're working on the internet in some way, if you're working in technology or futuristic things. So here, Spirit is saying, Taurus rising, moon, sun, and stelliums, that it's time to lovingly assert yourself and to see the signs and the omens that Spirit is supporting that endeavor. Because as Taurus, in your love for familiarity, in your love for a sense of comfort, you can get, and I'm a Taurus moon, so I'm going to say this very lovingly. Sometimes you can feel a little lazy, and you're like, oh, I don't know, and then you let the indecision keep you back. And I think this is a super fertile time for you to know that you're protected as you put some intentions out there, and then you lovingly assert and see the signs and the omens that are supporting your endeavor, because I think you're going to be super proud of yourself as your beliefs become redefined. I watched this one woman on TikTok, and she loves F-bombs. She's the F-bomb queen. And, she's literally on her channel, and anyone who gives her any grief about her F-bombs, she's like, just, go away. Don't watch me. And I kind of feel like this is a beautiful attitude. She's not really, well, maybe she's a little ornery, but she's not really being ornery. She's just claiming her space. She just wants to be herself and express herself authentically. That's what I think is going on with Taurus. And then as you're thinking about the things that you want to create outside world that bring money into your, Jupiter brings money and bounty, because now this is a real opportunity as your Jupiter is moving in and making that conjunction with the North Node. This is really a time for you to see how your fears may have been working for you, that your fears could be very propelling and very inspiring. And now is a time to have a little bit of compassion for yourself as you recognize where you could potentially be getting in your way, and now you're moving out of your way. So as evolved as I think I am, as much as I meditate, as much as I connect with spirit, I'm never ceases to amaze me how many of my issues are still like right in the front of my brain. So when I started to be more open to like, what is it? What is the real platform? Why am I doing what I'm doing? I realized a lot of the things that I do aren't from passion. They're from fear. I'm getting old and I need to do this. Oh, this might happen. I don't have that. And then I realized that's not the right place to come from, or it's not serving me the way I want it to. And that recognition, Sun and Uranus, boom, boom, this week. Okay. And the fact that Uranus has been moving through Taurus since 2017, I think it is. We've got another couple of years. And I want to offer this to my Tauruses as well, because the things that you're starting to put into place now may not necessarily go skyrocketing until Pluto moves into Aquarius, and then Uranus moves into Gemini, and we have a whole jump in technology. I say that because when I was growing up, there was no Yelp, there was no YouTube, there was no Zoom, there was none of this. Okay, computers were in NASA and in the governmental offices. So I couldn't really be who Teri is today. And as technology shifted, it opened a space for me. So there could be spaces being opened that you can't quite imagine right now. So here we go. All right, Gemini. Here's the Two of Pentacles. This is a time, your ruling planet, Gemini Rising, Moon, Sun, and Stelliums. Your ruling planet is currently retrograde, and Mercury is slowing down in Taurus to go direct next Sunday. And I feel like this is really saying to Gemini, be gentle with yourself as you're going back and forth, weighing all sides of how something could play out, how it won't. This is a little bit of the challenge with Mercury, is because it has little bits of information, and then Gemini is weighing things with that twin energy. And sometimes we need a little bit more information in order to make a good choice. So let's see where we're going with this. Where do we need flexibility? Where do we get to? Sometimes going down is actually coming up and we don't know it. And it's through the triumph of, or the tenacity of not letting something stop you, that you feel so empowered. All right, here we go. Gemini, our first angel is Serena, the angel of abundance. Ariel, angel of connection to spirit. Akasha, the teacher. And Crystal, have faith and hope. There's more that you can't see. Okay, here we go. I just got chills everywhere. Serena is being joined by the restriction card. Ariel's being joined by Merlin. Akasha's being joined by the choice card, the mystery, and then we have the letting go card again with Crystal. Okay. While we all are living in our little individual worlds with our own individual challenges, there are things going on outside of us that can contribute to how we are processing our own individual lives. So I want to offer it this way, because as Venus starts to approach that T-square with Pluto and the nodes, we could see some interesting things going on financially around the world. We'll address that a little bit more as we get closer to that time, but we can start feeling the rumblings now, especially with Venus entering Cancer today. Is there enough for my family? Is there enough to take care of my home? Is there enough sustenance? Is there enough nourishment? Because Serena is asking Gemini to be calm, that you could potentially be slowing down your manifestation because you're not serene about something. You're worrying, you're fretting, you're trying to weigh all sides of the situation. And I don't know if you can see them all. So now I feel as if this is where the balance comes, is from connecting to spirit, connecting in a way that's saying, I may not be able to see the solution. I may not be able to see anything but a problem right now. So thank you, Spirit, for giving me the eyes to course correct, to focus in the right direction, because this is the Kasha, the spiritual teacher. And here's the choice card. And I don't think Spirit is making the choice for you. It's to realize that there are choices. Every thought is two thoughts. There's the inspired thought of how or something I want, and then there's the journey to get there. And usually the human only judges that journey by where they've already been. And that's where we get tripped up. That's where we go back to, if you notice, this guy seems a little heavy on this side, what's going down. And, his focus is there. This is the foot that he's bringing up. And there's a lot more stability on this side. And he's not paying attention to it, because I think what you're doing is being given an opportunity. So let's think about this for a second. Mars was in Gemini for 7 months, transiting your first house. And let's take it as bravery, as being a hero in your own life, as being able to be willing to take the higher vibrations of what Mars has to offer, which is very Plutonian. What is the deeper psychology? Am I in some ways giving up my power to other people? Mars ruled Scorpio before Pluto was discovered. So as Mars is the ruler of the two eclipses in this season, we've had this dominant Taurus Scorpio access of power over money and the creation of myself. I think Gemini, this is really an opportunity to see how willing you are to sit on the side of the thought that works for you instead of works against you, because that's where I think the letting go card and crystal comes in. I know for sure that words don't teach. Yes, we can conceive them, but we learn through experiences. Humans are amazingly emotional, and we don't give any credit for that emotional body. And as we experience things, we have in previous generations internalized our emotions, and still we perceive our future based on those emotions. So Gemini, this is where fear starts to build something different for you, where you start to say, well, what if there's things that are going on that I don't know about? What if there's things happening that I can't see? And what is my vibration of belief? This is the true Aquarian age. It's not a period of time. It's really not even a planet moving into Aquarius, Pluto. It is a way of being where we start to think bigger and broader about who and what we are, and who and what it means to journey through the earthly human experience. And why would you do it? What would be the true point of it? It isn't pain and it isn't lessons. It's opportunities and options. Absolutely. And I think it's the density of this experience that makes it so exciting, because we're so convinced that we can't, that when we do, it becomes the greatest exhilaration and the most powerful inspiration. So I think that if you're having issues with money or issues with flow of resources, this is a real week for Gemini to take the idea that Taurus is your 12th house, and now the Sun and Uranus are forming for like 3 or 4 days a conjunction if we do a 2-degree orb. So this is really an epiphany to say, you know what? Maybe I'm only focusing on what I can see. Maybe my ruling planet retrograde is only giving me little bits of information that are actually fueling my fears versus surrendering to them. And as you start to surrender to them, I think something's going to open up. And I want to offer it this way, because it'll open up here on the inside, and then it'll open up on the outside. And that's where you get to really assimilate and incorporate this experience. Okay, onward and upward. The challenge with the human mind is that we forget it's a muscle. We kind of think we control it. We kind of think that I don't know if I think all the time as much as I think that my brain thinks, and then I am of an awareness of my brain thinking. How many organs in your body operate automatically? You don't think our brains are part of that? If I got to tell you, I had the weirdest dream last night. I don't know what it was, but I know what it was. I'm going to tell you. I dreamt I was doing a session and I had bad breath, and I was very conscious of my bad breath. Now, where does that come from? Some weird imprint of the brain, right? Some day residue or something. I think I had ceviche the other day. But my point is that if we as humans recognized a little bit more that there's an imprint going on, there's an automatic pilot a little bit, maybe we would just be give ourselves more grace about it. And then in the awareness that the automatic pilot, then we take it off automatic pilot and we move our story forward. All right, let's go on to our Cancers. Oh, look at this, as Venus is joining the house today. This is very Cancerian, okay? God bless Cancer. They love connection. They love love. They love to be around their family and to be on each other and love on each other and feed each other and just laugh together. Look, and then we have the Leo energy. This is super fun. Let's see what Spirit has to say. Because when I looked at this, first thing I thought is to focus on connection. All right, here we go. Cancer, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Grace and Antoinette. The second is Shanti. The third is Maya. And the final is Indriel. Cancer and Mars are going to be, I'm sorry, Cancer and Mars. Mars is currently in Cancer. Venus is joining Cancer today. And they're going to hang out. They're going to get closer together and then kind of drift apart and for a while here. So this could very much bring energy, and then we're going to have Venus go retrograde in Leo. It's going to be an interesting summer for lovers. Old lovers, new lovers, 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 lovers. Okay, Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Swan. Shanti is being joined by the Raven. Maya is being joined by the Joy card. And Indriel is being joined by the High Priestess. All right, I'm going to say this for my Cancers. If love comes up on the table for you, literally intimate love, somebody comes back, it's offered to you, I kind of want to say this to you. Remember who you are and own who you are. Don't get so excited that you start to overly love somebody else, or you let that watery, wonderful feeling of Venus joining your house ignore things. And I'm not saying this to be negative. I'm saying it more so that you're setting a platform for opportunities. Meaning if you meet someone new or somebody that you have a familiar relationship with, or you have, allow them to see the evolved version of yourself. Trust that evolved version and let them meet you that way so that you can experience your own value at a heightened level. Because Grace and Antoinette is asking you to have compassion for your own transformation to the Swan. And if you are encountering somebody who you've been in relationship before and you felt like the duckling, I'm not going to say the ugly duckling, just a duckling, then you might be fearful to show your power. And I'm not talking about a gender here. I'm talking about everybody. So allow for this flight of your own transformation and trust it a little bit, because Shanti is offering you a smoother road ahead, because many of you have done the work of awareness. Okay. It's not about releasing anything. It's about just an awareness. And does this thought work for me and take me towards what I want, or does it move me away from it? Because you've picked a lot of the bones and they're clean and you're ready to fly into a new energy. We see this with both these birds. And now Shanti is offering you this journey of peace within. It's not because what's happening outside, because you're learning to take in more of your joy, to celebrate you a little bit. And when you do that, it makes it almost easier for others to celebrate you. There is such a thing as loving somebody too much. It's like you put a pressure on the other person to somehow, there's an underbelly of, I love you this much, so I'm waiting for you to love me back. And that can get in your way. So now I think that there's a shift where Cancer's going, you know what? I love you, but boy, I love me too. And I love me enough to love me a little bit, just a scooch more than I love you. And because of that, we can love each other in more balance. Because look at this. There's the light worker, and there is the High Priestess. This is really trusting a new journey within sometimes I see myself driving down the 405 freeway with my old boyfriend and us arguing and me saying, I need you, I love you, and I need you. And he would say, need is not love. And I was like arguing with him, and this was the beginning of the end. And he was right, man. Love doesn't really need something. Need is not love. Need is ugh. So here, I think you're learning something about that. And I think you're learning to be more conscious of how you feel. And in doing so, it's freeing for both sides. So enjoy this period of time, because I really believe that there's, Leo's your second house of self-worth, of value, and it's naturally ruled by Taurus and Venus. So I really think that there's love coming up. I think this summer is going to be full of love. And I don't know if it's all good love, but I think it's going to show up and people are going to get to show their evolved version of themselves. And a lot of you will receive bounty as a result. You'll receive validation. So I'm excited for that. Okay, let's go on to our Leos. Okay. Oh, this is a fun energy. The 9 of Cups. This is a card of self-satisfaction. I am so proud of myself. And you know what? We deserve to be proud of ourselves. There is nothing wrong with being proud of yourself when you have worked so hard to stack all these cups up and make them all balanced. And now you're ready to fill them up. It's very exciting. Let's see. Because as we see, Mars is going to move into Leo. I think it's next week. I'll have to look because Mars is at 26 degrees on the 13th, so we're not far off there. And it's going to be making a square. It's going to start a square to Jupiter at the later degrees of Aries. This, again, is this sort of push-pull in my belief system. How do I feel about myself? What do I believe? And I think what Leo's doing is starting to believe in themselves with a little bit more of it doesn't feel boastful to me. It feels as if I've done the work. I hate using that phrase actually. And I'm proud of myself and I'm standing strong right here. And now I'm going to move forward from that platform. All right, here we go. Let's see. Because again, when Venus moves into Leo for 4 months, because she's going to move in there I think it's early June 5th, I think it is. My notes, if I can remember. And she's there till October. Yep, due diligence equals confidence. Exactly, Lucy. Okay, Leo, let's see. Our first angel is Opal. The second is Sonia. The third is Chantal, the angel of romance. And then there's Desiree. That is a long stretch for Venus, and she's stretching a lot of the whole sign practically. Okay, Opal is being joined by the cat. Sonia's being joined by the restriction card. Chantal's been joined by the queen, and Desiree's being joined by the bear. I think this is a very big week. So now I know where Leo is feeling a sense of satisfaction. I think it is in an awareness of your history, in where you've been, in where you're going. And in doing so, you're starting to implement healthy boundaries. Opal talks about God being watching over us and that we're safe on heaven and earth. And here's the cat. And the cat represents independence and healthy boundaries. It also represents 9 lives. And this very well could be Leo, okay, endeavoring something, and now it could be something you've endeavored for a while, or you could have gone through a series. Okay, let me see if I can give you a description. When I was younger, I would talk astrology, I would do tarot readings. It was all a hobby back then, right? And then as I started to actually get clients, and then I shared that with other people, they kind of threw a wet blanket on it, and I had to go my own way. I had to be like, you know what? This is valuable work. And I'm really proud of what I'm creating. And I think this is where you keep some healthy boundaries from other people, because you're about to endeavor something that I think you have a contract with your own soul about. And there is a team on the other side watching over you, kind of keeping you in a lane so that you move forward. Because I say that because Sonia and the restriction card makes me feel as if you've got a certain amount of momentum going, and we don't want to let the tension that starts between Mars and Pluto, which is going to start, not this particular week, but it's going to start creeping up in the last half of May and go into June. So this is where Spirit is saying, remember, you're here. The more you sit in reception, the more you sit in who you are and what you want, the more you will trust this experience and the more you will bring in what you want. This is not Chantal, now a lover's card. This is like self-love. This is owning your position of knowing a certain ebb and flow, and also an awareness of history, because I want to offer it this way. Leo is the most well, I don't want to say the most creative. That's not fair. But the house itself rules self-expression, entertainment, joy, pleasure, romance. Super, super fun house. And I think that Leo may be going through a similar situation where I've been more aware how my history tended to dominate my viewpoint versus how much I've accomplished through that history. And now we see this showing up here, because I feel like Leo is getting a sense of independence and seeing a new life starting to form for you. And that new life could very well be where you're starting to birth things that make you feel proud of how you are creating your life. And I kind of want to put this in bigger terms than just money and career. I think it's in how the permissions that you're giving yourself for a journey. This feels a little bit like a journey to me. Yes, I'm satisfied, but these cups aren't full. There's no flowers in them. There's nothing in them yet. So that is yet to be done. So there's something about the process. And I feel a little sense of Leo protecting the process so that people who can't see what you've learned to see with your heart versus your eyes, they don't trip up your vibration. That's where I'm going with that. Okay. Onward and upward. Oh, I love that Coach Boone. I'm telling you, I love that character. The greatest Saturn energy, I think. I mean, I've never really thought Saturn was so well depicted as in that guy right there. Because I do believe that Saturn is a loving energy. I know it doesn't seem that way at first. I know. All right, here we go, Virgo. Wow, look at, now we have the 10 of Cups. This is very exciting. This is a card of celebration. This is one of the happiest energies in the whole tarot deck. Let's look and see what we should be celebrating. Mercury is going to be conjunct the North Node in Taurus towards the end of the week on the 13th, next Saturday. Now, Mercury is about to go direct on the 14th, so it's going to station right there near the North Node. And the North Node is just a few degrees away from Jupiter. So while Jupiter and Mercury are probably 6 degrees away from each other, kind of a wide orb, if you think about how big and fat Jupiter is, it could be expanding into this energy, and you could get some news. That's Mercury, and that's your ruling planet. And it's going to be at 5 degrees, which is the Leo degree. So you could be endeavoring something, and news could come through that is favorable, or something you're working towards is starting to show promise. Let's look and see. That May 20th, Stephen, is a big day for that square, that Mars, that T-square with Mars. Pluto, Mars, and the nodes. Big day. It's like conjunct that day. Okay. I just keep calling it a T-square. It's a grand fixed cross. It's a grand fixed square. You know, this is my challenge. My name is Teri, so I have a T in my name. When I see things that go like this, I see a T. The actual technical term is a fixed grand square. Pluto, well, or however, Mars, Pluto are in opposition, the nodes are in opposition, and they are making a square in fixed signs. Jupiter's creeping up into that. So I just want to be clear. I actually know what I'm talking about up here. It's just not coming out well here. All right. Crystal, have faith and hope there's more that you can't see, Virgo. Then we have Celeste, which could usher in a new opportunity for work. Then we have Bridget, in the angel's advice, and then we have Xana, the angel of protection. Yeah, it's a big, I think it's even more intense because it's in all fixed signs. And the fixed signs are like, yeah, I know that, but I don't want to change. Yeah, I know that, but I don't want to change. Okay, whoops. All right, I'll be back. I have to get into the table for the card. And it is the B. Good luck is coming, victory. And then we have celebration, the 10 of Cups. This is exciting. Celeste and the cat. Bridget and the Queen, Xana and the restriction card. All right, this is what I want to say. By nature, Virgo rules process, it rules analyzing things, it rules being of service to others. And so you tend to be a little bit action oriented. And I want to offer it this way because something is coming that you've been working towards. I really think that if you have been looking to shift your career a bit, shift your work environment, it could also be your mind, and normally I think Celeste is a shift in the way I'm thinking, but I got to tell you, today I'm thinking something is happening positively for Virgo within their career environment. And I think the Mercury retrograde in Taurus has given a certain review that supports this shift. And I very much think that it's in process. It isn't actually manifesting, or it's not happening at least this week because of Xana and the restriction card. So as you stay the course and don't give up or default back to, well, this isn't happening, so I'm just going to do what I know is safe. Because here, Celeste is about a new home or a new place of employment. And I think both of these things could be in play, but I'm kind of going with employment or job opportunities or opportunities to make money at something. And not only is this 9 lives, there's a certain amount of independence that comes from that, which makes me feel as if Virgo is very happy. It's almost as if being of service this time or in this incarnation right now is about a win-win, where Virgo gets to feel good about it in addition to being of service to others. Because when you are working only to give, it is literally, you're running into a brick wall pretty soon. Because now is really a time for you to understand that the universe is working on your behalf. And I think this is an important process for Virgo because it's going to root something. That's why I go back to Xana saying that you're being protected while you don't have information. So let me round this up. There's the potential. Your ruling planet has been retrograde for 3 weeks. And while commerce does not stop because Mercury went retrograde, things could have felt choppy, weird. People could not call. They could forget to call back. I have had so many emails go into my junk folder, even after I've responded to people. And I personally have had my emails of response go into their junk folder. Who knows why that's happening now? But as I persevere through that and I don't worry about it, something starts to happen because I think this retrograde is bringing in something. And your job right now is to allow the universe their turn to bring it forward. And that's when you take your action and walk through, because there's something that is going to feel good. And your job is to know that it feels good and to feel that in the meantime, while you're waiting for that phone call or you're waiting for that correspondent. I think it's super important. And I think that it's also going to end up being something that goes into your file cabinet, like in your brain. And you'll be like, you know what? This happened to me before, and I made an assumption it wasn't going to work out, and it worked out better than I thought it would work out. And that's where I think the gift is. Okay. And again, I think this Mercury retrograde was very much focused on how do I feel, because that moon being conjunct Mercury at the exact moment when it went retrograde at 15 degrees of Taurus made me very much think that was like, am I giving life to my emotional body? Because I'm kind of trained to suck it up and do things that I don't like to do. And is that my agenda or is that someone else's agenda? It's it gets to be a little bit of you start to pull on a thread and you realize there's a lot more going on there. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Algo Bello. Okay, on to our Libras. Oh, Libra, this is a very Libra energy. This is a sense of precarious balance, but it's even bigger than that, because this is where you can't see the answer. And I feel as if this is where I have to go interior. I've got to go and trust what I cannot see. Once again, there's that crescent moon, and it makes me feel as if this character is sort of vacillating between the mind and the emotions. And so things aren't quite clear. The ocean behind her seems to be one of the most prevalent things. We see she's sitting on the shore on what appears to be a road, but the water is right behind her. And she's going to have to traverse some emotional dynamics to get anywhere behind her. So let's look and see what's going on. There's also a funny thing about the sword suit, because when you look at the people that are bound, she's blindfolded, but if you look really closely, her eyeballs are actually, you can see that she's got her eyes shut. It's like her headband has fallen down. It's like her headband has fallen down. So is she really not able to see, or does she not want to see? All right, here we go. Our first angel for our Libras is Archangel Uriel. The second is Serena. The third is Rochelle. And the final is Ray. Joining Archangel Uriel is the Raven. Joining Serena is the Wind Fairy. Joining Rochelle is the Joy card. And joining Ray is the Serpent. This very much feels as if there could potentially be, Archangel Uriel deals with frustration. I don't really feel anger for Libra this week. It feels more like that precarious, I'm almost like I'm tired of sitting in this position. My arms are exhausted. Look how long those swords are. They're so big, they shoot out of the card. You can't even see the tip of them. So here is, this is telling me very much, Libra, that there's a timing issue going on here. And if this Mercury retrograde has slowed your roll, slowed information, it's, felt like you're doing a do-over, then this is a real opportunity to start to see that you don't have all the information. And even if you think you have all the information, you don't. And you will get more information, because I think the Wind Fairy representing thoughts and things, and there's Serena. It's like, not only can Libra calm their mind, but if there's nothing you can do about something, there's no point to thinking about the challenge or putting yourself in a position where you're feeling so uncomfortable. I almost feel as if there's a certain, Serena's asking you to surrender. It's almost like, just, will it hurt to trust the universe just one time to see what happens? Because it could change everything for you at some point. Venus is your ruling planet, and Venus rules history and self-worth and beauty and my skills and my voice and my material comfort, my partnerships. She's extremely connected to the earthly experience of comfort and joy. And if for some reason you've been frustrated because certain things have not played out, let's just say this. Let's just be kind of random. I don't know why I want to go here, but let's say you're a Libra and you've been trying to buy a house. Mars has been in Cancer and you've been going to all these homes and nothing is happening. And you're like, dang, why is this not happening? There could be something really beautiful happening that you're not aware of. And maybe even part of you has been considering the situation from a difficult way of viewing it. You're not really following your heart, but rather you're following your head and looking for some sort of logic. And the real answer doesn't lie in logic at all. It lies here in you following your heart and your joy. When I moved to Laguna 20 years ago, I didn't have a pot to pee in, okay? I had bill collectors calling me. I had a job working in a bakery for like $4 an hour. Okay, I exaggerate, but it wasn't much more. And I walked into this apartment And I looked out at the view and I'm like, I can't afford to live here. This is cray cray. And Spirit said, you can't afford not to live there. I didn't know what that meant at the time, but you know what? I have an Aries rising, and every once in a while I'm a cray cray person. And I took this apartment and I slept on the floor for 4 months. I ate out of the restaurant. I didn't have any money. I had bill collectors calling me and yelling at me. It was awful at first, but once that got over with, I've been here 20 years. That was like a little glitch of a moment, because I think something's happening for Libra that you can't see, that only Spirit can make you feel right now. And this will, the knowledge will come, the information will come, but there's a part of you that has to sort of let the frustration sit to the side of the road. Almost as if, going, I can't do anything about this right now. So why am I putting myself through all of this turmoil of contemplating? Because this could literally be contemplating resources and not being able to see if you have them. I was watching My Lottery Dream Home. I think it was Friday night, because Saturday night's Ancient Aliens. But I never really watched that show. But when I watched it, I was like, damn, they make it look so easy to win the lottery. And all these people are buying houses for this one lady was buying a house for her kid, and this other one was getting a house so they can have the mama live with them. And I'm like, dang, I got to start to buy me a lottery ticket and start to see if that can't, I just always thought that was pie in the sky. My whole point is that for Libra, when you start to realize that your frustration could potentially be blocking things, and I'm not telling you to try to be perfect and not have frustration, but just an awareness of it could allow this raven to fly off the coop, and this information comes through. You go, oh, Spirit's got me more than I realized. One of the things I don't talk about is before I moved into this apartment, I had applied for an apartment across the street in a little, in a place that didn't have a bathroom. It had just basically a stall. It was very much like a studio. And I've never lived in a studio. I've always lived in a bedroom. The kitchen was so small that if you turned around in a circle like this, you were hitting all the counters. But it was in Laguna. The price was right. I was going to take it. And then I lost everything I own. And I said, I can't take the apartment. And it was 3 months later that this apartment became available on the beach side with a bedroom and a full-blown kitchen. And everything worked out better, but I could not see it at the time. So Libra, gentility with your mind. All right, Scorpio. Here we have Mars in Capricorn. This is very much teamwork. It's very much a contract. It's very much where these two people hire this guy to do something for them. So, okay, let's look and see what this is for Scorpio, because with this eclipse being, you've been on the eclipse axis, you've been on the nodal axis, you've had a lot going on. And, with the South Node going through your first house, there's been this energy of, is asking you straight up if the things that you want are really the things you want, or they're the things you think you want, because other people will validate your power, your control, your viability, because there's a very interesting energy here, because this does involve other people. I don't think we mean to reject the protection as much as we get anxious and unsure. And then the fear that we swim through every day, and the media is always, fueling that. Even the fictionalized shows that we watch use fear or drama to create a cliffhanger. They don't ever really go on. When the couple sails off into the sunset, you never see their story after they're off in the sunset. Man does not rule by joy. It doesn't give a lot of anchorage to that. It doesn't hook that in. It works much more on fear. All right, Scorpio. Crystal is saying, have faith and hope. If you've been looking for a new job, or you've been wanting to shift things a bit for yourself, there could very well be something coming up for you. And the journey of the South Node through your first house has given you an opportunity to redefine what's important to you. All right, there's Archangel Michael saying something change is coming. Archangel Raphael, and then Isabella. Ooh. Yay. Yeah, we are trained to be wanting, to always want and not to be satisfied. And when we are satisfied, it's because we've dumbed down. That's kind of how it plays out. Okay. Scorpio, crystal is being joined by the movement card. Archangel Michael is being joined by the risk card. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the spider. And Isabella is being joined by the letting go card. Okay. I straight up think there's the potential that there's some sort of cooperative endeavor that is going to be birthed for Scorpio. And I think a lot of it is as a result of the journey of the South Node, where you have really redefined what's important to you, where you've either given up your power, where you can claim a more intentional creation of your own life. And I feel like this is really rooting it into the ground. This is a card that very much speaks of something happening in the material world, and it's a collaboration of some sorts. So if you think about this, could be, the priest, and then some royal is giving this master craftsman their instructions about what they want created. So here, something is happening for Scorpio. Even if you can't see it, there is movement happening. And I think that this definition that you have, or the clarity of defining what you really want now, from what makes you feel at home, what makes you feel valuable, what makes you feel as if you are a powerful creator in your own life, because this is going to require you betting on yourself, actually having the courage to risk putting yourself out there and creating new relationships, either with an internet source, with people, this is how I want to put it. If you think about Scorpio is the Freud of the Zodiac. Scorpio can see beneath the BS, can see beyond the mask. And oftentimes in childhood, they're trained to keep their mouths shut so they don't, shock and awe everybody with their wisdom or their knowing. Here is a time when I think it's time to re-engage that as the adult, where I think that there's actually an epiphany, because you realize that if I risk myself, I can win, and I have the support of spirit behind me. Because here, this letting go card now feels as if it's the South Node. The South Node, and I've learned what I needed to learn. I've experienced it. I've been egoless in this situation. And when I say egoless, I'm never talking about egoless to another human. I'm talking about being egoless to diminishing myself or holding myself small, or what my true motivation is. And in that, now we have a big green light for our Scorpios to move their story forward. So I think that there's the potential. Now we see that Mars is in the very last degrees of Cancer, and then it's going to move into Leo. Now, yes, there's going to be that polarizing energy between Mars and Pluto, but this may be a call, because they're both your ruling planets, for you to get brave and then to take inspired action and bet on yourself. Put yourself out there, start that podcast, make that TikTok, put out that opinion that maybe you thought would be distasteful before, because you never know. It actually feels as if something is going to manifest for you, and people will see that you actually have talent, and you have skills, and you have a sense of mastery. Rock on, Scorpio. I know Pluto, but I love Pluto. If you really pay attention to Pluto, Pluto is not trying to trip you up. Pluto is trying to kill all the lies that you tell yourself, all the training that you've had that you're not enough, that you must want, you must suffer. My mother used to say, suffer, it builds character. And my smart ass mouth would turn around and go, I got more character than anybody needs. I don't need that lesson anymore. And then she'd bash me upside the head. God bless her soul. Okay. Sagittarius. I lost myself for a second. Sagittarius. We have the Queen of Cups. This is a beautiful energy. It's very much an authenticity to how I feel. It's a very loving energy. And it's almost as if when I look at her, it's like she's looking into some sort of, the vessel that she's holding, it looks almost like it has wings. It does have wings. They're like little, it's like little, How do I describe it? They're like gargoyles, but wings, little angels. And then we see the little mermaids at the top. I feel as if this is a very strong energy for Sagittarius to start to feel something is cooking with gas. Let's see where we're going. I almost feel as if I wonder if some of my Sagittariuses aren't going to embark on some vacation time, some trips. When I first looked at this, I thought this woman was contemplating a tropical vacation. Swim with the dolphins kind of experience. Let's see, Sagittarius. Our first angel is Celeste. The second is Akasha. The third is Aurora. And the final is Archangel Uriel. Celeste is being joined by the Fire Fairy. Akasha is being joined by the Perception card. Aurora is being joined by the Timing Raven. And then Archangel Uriel is being joined by the Communications card. All right, so this is where we're going. Sagittarius, your foreign travel is to the interior of your soul. This week, I really feel as if, now I don't know off the top of my head, I can't think of where Taurus is in your, so I don't want to misspeak, but let's look at the house of Taurus and the idea that the Sun and Uranus will be 4 of the 7 days conjunct. Some sort of epiphany is happening, some sort of lightning strike. And I think it's going to take you into a place of actually understanding your emotional motivations more than you had before. Because when I go to Celeste, and almost 90% of the time, she's always a shift in the way I'm thinking. You can put my physical body anywhere you want, and I have a certain way of thinking, because I think you're going to start to give life to more creativity and putting your creative endeavors out into the world. I feel as if you are starting to really learn something about the perceptions you have. If we think about it, Sagittarius rules our belief system, our ideologies, our philosophies. It also gives us an opportunity to evolve beyond what we've learned in the Gemini in our own. I say Gemini because they are on the opposite axis, and what we learn in our upbringing can very much shift as we get older and we experience different thoughts and different ways of being. And I feel as if this is really an opportunity for you, Sagittarius, to make money through your creativity, because you become aware of your own perceptions that may have held you back up until now, because Spirit is saying it is time to launch. And this is like a double launch to me. It's not only launching away from anywhere you are repeating an old story. You know, this skull is as clean as it could be. There's no meat on these bones, and this guy's got to go. It's also about timing. And here there's Aurora, and Aurora is saying that your desired outcome will happen, and it will be inspiring to others. Because what I think is that there's the potential that when you think about Sagittarius ruling higher education, you're very cerebral on some level. You've learned a lot. And even if you haven't gone and got your master's degree, you've learned from your life experiences. And if your life experiences have said, this is a challenge, then the Queen is saying, go into your emotional, intuitive body and go, maybe those challenges were working for you. Because now is an opportunity to really look and see where your past thoughts have created frustrations, and are you still communicating those things? Because it's an opportunity to shift them. I kind of want to go back to what I was saying before. When I started to feel some movement on my YouTube channel, I got this sudden, very lower vibration, Saturnial feel of, produce. And the pressure of the producing made the videos not do well. I am absolutely 100% aware that while I want to produce videos on a consistent basis, how I feel about how excited I am about these videos is super important. And I'm going to produce a video about the Mars, Pluto, and Venus, because Venus in a few weeks after Mars is going to zip into her opposition with Pluto, and that's going to contribute to that fixed grand square It's so hard for me to say square. I see the T. I see the middle of the square, not the outline. Okay, because this is where I was going. Sagittarius, even if you haven't felt movement, movement is coming. And now is a real opportunity to see how much you talk about the old story. No movement, no movement. Things are frustrating. Things aren't happening enough. And the other thing I want to offer is as Jupiter moves up on the North Node, you may feel expansion and then you don't sit in the expansion. So let's say, you have an Etsy account and you got 10 orders and you're like, wow, that's so cool. And you sit in it for a second. And then you're like, well, where's 20 orders and where's 50 orders? And when this could be the slippery slope, right? So this is really an opportunity to sit in your wins and let them soak in a little bit more, marinate in your wins, and that will set up the platform for more wins. Okay, here we go on to our Capricorns, my little goats. Sometimes momentum is great and then it undermines us because we start to only pay. This is why I sometimes hate the statistics when they pop up. You can't avoid them. Our whole world is judging us and telling us how we're doing. Your audience loves you. Thumbs down for this. We got to sort of rewrite how we perceive those things. All right, Capricorn. All right. This is an interesting energy because this Seven of Wands feels very much as if this guy is defending himself and he doesn't even know why he's defending himself. It's almost like he's in a habit. He's got a wide stance, 1 foot really close to that cliff's edge, and the other one is just barely touching that water. His face looks, frustrated a little bit edgy, and we don't know what's going on here. For all we know, these guys are going, hey, let me hand you some more wands. So let's see, because there's been a lot of shifting for Capricorn, right? And I really think that this shift has turned you from the old cranky goat to the happy baby goat. And maybe not every day, but there's an awareness of that. And now in June, okay, just 3 weeks from now, we're going to see Pluto move back into the last degrees of Capricorn, reconstructing some of the structures of your mind and your heart. And one of them may be, do you defend yourself and your own happiness, or do you feel that you have to defend your happiness? So Stephen, you're funny. I started to think that too. I started to pay too much attention to the algorithm, and then I started to think that source energy was even smarter than the algorithm. And I think when I was playing to the algorithm, I was playing to statistics. So when I was playing to statistics, I was standardizing myself. And I'm very Uranian in some ways. I like to do new things and explore a lot. Okay, Capricorn, our first angel is Maya, angel of schooling and education. Then Vanessa, faith in yourself. Archangel Michael, courage to make change. And Caressa, the end of a life cycle, and new happiness awaits you. I think that's important because I have 3/4 of my first house is actually Taurus. I'm a 26-degree Aries rising, so the 12th house dominates my Aries energy, and that makes so much sense to me. And I was even thinking today, I was thinking about the degrees of my Venus and Pluto and what's going on, because my bio mother is a Libra, and she must be a 12th house Libra because she spent her whole life in bed, and not because she was sick. She's just lazy. And then she was super violent, but not violent enough to kill me. So Venus is at 10 degrees in my chart in Virgo. So Venus is Saturnian in my chart, which I thought was interesting because I got nothing but rules and regulations from my mom, not hugs and kisses. My mom, I don't remember my mom one time reading me a bedtime story, one time tucking me into bed. I don't remember one nurturing thing from my childhood. It's all my grandmother. My grandmother did all those things and I say all this because I'm starting to see more subtle hues in the chart through the degrees, through the angles, through their cooperation. Because Pluto transforms my self-worth because of how restrictive my mother was. All right. Maya, Capricorn, is being joined by the wasp. Vanessa's being joined by the eagle. Archangel Michael is being joined by the Perception card, and then the Serpent is joining Caressa. All right, this makes sense to me now, because Capricorn, you are the dutiful energy. You're the leader, you're the government, you do what you're expected to do, you follow the old rules. This is all Saturn in its most mundane energies. And now you're evolving. You're starting to realize that, if I'm going to truly be a leader and build, what am I building on? And I think that this might be creating a bit of defensiveness for those that are used to you being a certain way. And now, as you've learned things about yourself, you're starting to feel a little uncomfortable about having to maybe disappoint other people, or maybe they're used to you, not putting yourself first. And now you're like, hey, excuse me, I need to take care of me a little bit. And so, or you could potentially even fear retaliation of people if you don't do what they want you to do. And I want to offer it this way, because I think this is more challenging when you're in earlier chapters of the human experience versus when you're a little bit older. So you may inadvertently, give up your power to your parents, or give your power up to teachers or employers, thinking I need to pay my bills. And now you're starting to think, I don't know if this works for me this way anymore. This is not fun, because Vanessa is offering you faith in yourself. And the eagle is saying, stay connected to spirit, stay connected to a bigger picture, because you are about to show leadership skills like never before, because Archangel Michael is encouraging you to know you're protected while you change your perception. And that perception is actually, if somebody is asking me to do something that isn't comfortable for me, am I being selfish by saying no, or are they being selfish by expecting that from me? And even if there's somebody who is authority to you, it still comes down to that, because I think the knowledge that Capricorn has gained as Pluto has gone through your first house, while it may felt very challenging at first, as we see Caressa, is waiting for the dawn, essentially, that she still feels a sense of darkness, a sense of sorrow, a sense of even maybe loneliness here. But I think that this is lifting for Capricorn. So I want to offer the next, 6 months, where are we? 7 months or so. For the most part, Pluto will be back in your house at those late degrees. And, she's going to go, I don't know if Pluto's a guy or a girl, but it's going to go all the way back to 27 degrees, which is the Gemini degree. Then it's going to hit 28 degrees of Cancer, and then finally the 29th degree, the anaretic degree, the leadership degree. And so to me, this is really revisiting the structures of my mind. Have I been trained to think a certain way? And now I'm discerning whether or not that training serves me. And if indeed it actually serves those that have certain expectations of me, because I may actually be able to supersede those expectations when I individualize a little bit. Because Capricorn builds in the material world. And if you're being restricted or dominated by somebody who has a limited belief in themselves, then your ability to create will be limited as well, because you're being too dutiful to their energy. So I think that this is a time to really stop defending yourself to anybody and allow yourself to be a little rogue. Okay. Oh, it could be very well. It could be, Mercury is absolutely fluid in gender. So, and then the world is shifting that way, because I don't know that defining us by gender is really a fair assessment. We're a soul having a certain experience. It's kind of like, it's like a human going to different restaurants. Oh, I want to try this. Oh, I want to try that. And yes, we end up having preferences. Oh, I love Mexican food. I want to go Mexican 3 times a week. But we don't always go. All right. Aquarius. Have I missed anybody? Aquarius. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm right. I lost myself. All right. We see the Hanged Man here. Now, initially, this energy is a feeling of unsureness when the human looks at it, because the sign, the words, the Hanged Man, does not feel very pleasant. But if you look, there's nothing tethering him but this one little string on his foot. We don't even know if his hands are tied or if he's just holding them behind his back. So for me, this guy put himself in this position because he needs an epiphany, or he wants an epiphany. He wants some sort of clarity, and he's got to turn things upside down in order to make them happen. Well, who rules Aquarius? Uranus, moving things upside down, turning things on their ear. And this week we have this conjunction with the sun that's going to take place for maybe 4 days. We'll feel this influence if we do a 2-degree orb. So somewhere between around the 8th all the way through till, let's say, the 13th, maybe they'll be hanging around each other 4 or 5 days. And I think this is going to be very illuminating and liberating. Let's see, Aquarius. And I want to kind of say this for my Aquarius is because having Pluto move into your first house could really kind of put you on alert. You know, we really go straight to the death and the destruction of Pluto. But Pluto's most powerful energy is that of the heart. Okay. It's depicted on the planet itself, and it is very much plays to that psychological dynamic, that underbelly. So when you allow for your own unique expression, for your own forward thinking, for your own individuality that may seem a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs to everybody else, you're going to be very, very happy that you did that. And everything that you might fear from Pluto could turn out to be just the opposite. And you're like, oh my goodness, things have never been better. I've seen a lot of Pluto transits that brought a lot of money and a lot of happiness to people. And most of those people, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know for sure if they follow astrology, but it appeared they had no awareness of the transit. Okay. I think even Lada was having a Pluto transit when she got unexpectedly pregnant with her 2 children, literally back to back. Okay, Francesca here for Aquarius. What do you visualize right now? Then we have Aurora, you're flying high. Then we have Mystique, charging ahead, and Akasha, the teacher. I love Jack Johnson. Okay. Francesca is being joined by the stag. Aurora is being joined by the movement card. Mystique is being joined by the fire fairy, and Akasha is being joined by the dog. I want to offer it this way because this hanged man is also very Neptunian to me for some reason, and this could be very creative. One of the things we don't really focus in on, although we mention it, is there's a lot of creativity that happens in the sign of Pisces. And that creativity is very dreamy and very whimsical and very, there's a nirvana. There's a dreaming beyond what I've experienced, because I feel as if for my Aquariuses, this is really, don't be stubborn about where you've been. Keep your eye on where you're going. And I feel like this is super important, because if we get stuck on the idea that Uranus creates the nervous system and anxiety and explosions and unexpected, and we keep going to these dark sides of these signs and these planets, we are missing so much beauty, because there is movement happening. And I believe because pardon me, because of Aquarius's forward thinking nature, because of your independence, you could very well be moving in directions that you're not even completely aware of just yet. They could be all like the sauce marinating before you actually dish it out, because Mystique is asking you, Aquarius, to keep charging ahead with your creative genius, to make the choice to be tenacious in this, and not to allow yourself to let any of yesteryear block you. Anything where you're saying, oh, it's not happening. It's not happening. It isn't about whether you can actually, this is where Saturn co-ruling your planet or your sign, is where this is where, and it's also Upachaya house. So the 11th house by nature is a house where reward comes through tenacity over time. So here you're really going to teach others about how to get out of their own way, how sometimes the baton pass comes because we're forward thinking and things are happening outside of our realm, meaning, there is a divine energy that operates this place. It's not random. And as we focus, we turn away from what could be negative. We recognize where we could be stubbornly looking at the challenges, looking at the uphill climb. And then we're like, you know what? Something is coming. Some kind of ease is coming. And my job is just to stay the course in the moment. And as I do that, I not only feel more connected to those around me, I also get the opportunity to teach people how to be loyal to their own ideas. I watch, as I repeat myself so much, I was watching something about Albert Einstein yesterday, and I am pretty sure that man was considered a bit of an oddball back in his day. I mean, in hindsight, we look at the genius, but he was there with all his weird theories, and everybody's like, "What are you talking about?" But he stayed the course. I think that's what Aquarius, stay the course, because Pluto's going to bring something for you. When you stay the course now, you could make magic happen, and you don't realize it. All right, Pisces, here we go. I love this cup card because it's not just about celebration and the harvest. It's about wisdom, the incorporation of wisdom. And through that wisdom, there is celebration. There is a feeling of, I got this. When you're young and you start interacting with other people in intimate ways, things are everything's important. Oh my God, my hair looks terrible. My hair looks terrible. I'm never going to be loved again. You get older, you're like wearing your socks down around your ankles and you don't give a shit about your hair. I don't mean it in a negative way. I'm kind of being cheeky here, but there's a relaxation. There's there. And so here I want my Pisces to celebrate their wisdom. I know Saturn is going through your first house, so you may be feeling a little bit of history repeating itself, or a little bit of restriction or limitation. But I think that's because Saturn is just asking you to put some roots down. Saturn's asking you to build and to incorporate everything that you've learned. When I see these three women, I feel like I'm seeing, the young, naive, sort of virginistic energy. Then I see the maternal, motherly energy. And then I see the wise one, the more grandmother energy. And to me, there's so much bounty to be had in each phase of life. So let's look and see where we're going with our Pisces. Because if indeed you are at all paying attention to your creativity, or you want to create a more spiritual existence for yourself. And the spirituality, let me define how I see that. It's an awareness, and it is a willingness to understand the journey of up and down, of contrast here on this planet, and not to villainize darkness or to put too much of a heavenly light on the lightness, because both serve, and either out of balance doesn't work. Too much light and you'll be blinded, you'll be burned. So I feel like there's this opportunity for wisdom through all you have garnished. And now even creating a bigger platform for your spiritual beliefs and your accountability for your belief system to bring bounty. This is one of the great things that I've learned as I've been experiencing my Pluto squares, is that so often I get excited about an idea and I think I'm building on abundance, and I'm building on fear. So every time I produce a video now for my YouTube channel, I'm asking myself, is this trying to stave off poverty in my old age? Or is this something I'm excited about sharing with the audience? And I've made a commitment to myself to only share things I think are exciting, and not just to produce videos to produce them. So I think this is going to shift the vibration. And I think that's what's going on for Pisces. Here we have Maya, the angel of schooling and education. Then we have Merlina. Then we have Rosetta. And finally, Sonia. All right. Joining Maya, we have the Burden card. Joining Merlina, we have the Stag. Joining Rosetta, we have the Wasp. Oh, jeez, Pisces, this is like a little tough. And joining Sonia, we have the Water Fairy. Okay. Pisces is, if not, I think, the most mutable sign of them all. Pisces, when you look at the Pisces energy, one of the biggest challenges is Pisces is so connected to the other side that sometimes this earthly experience is very dense and challenging and can feel a little dark and heavy. And so now this is where I think that Saturn's transit through your first house, and I'm going to bring this up because this feels like Saturn's having a conversation with you, is to trust that everything is secular, that there is wisdom through every situation. And rather than react in a way that makes you want to swim away or hide in your room, it's more about being brave to really look at, am I contributing through my fear, through my trepidation to my experience? And that may be a little challenging at first, because when you're an energy that's giving to others, inadvertently, this throws things off balance. Because Merlina here is telling me the magic comes from standing in an awareness of whether you're being in leadership for others, or, and I want to offer this way. I don't mean you're meant to be a leader, but when you're authentic to your dreams, to your hopes, to your dynamics, you inadvertently stand in leadership to others. It's why they talk about people with, that have large followings of subscribers or whatever followers on their various social media. People say you have a responsibility to your audience, right? Because you have influence. So I think that when you surrender your fears of that audience, that you will bring balance into the situation, because there's a weird energy happening right now. This feels as if it's Pisces, and this feels as if it's you too. Like, I want to give life to the dreams of my inner child, but I'm afraid to. I'm afraid of a couple of things. I'm afraid of, will I be good enough? I'm afraid, will I be accepted? I'm afraid, will I be overly accepted? Will people look to me too much? Because I feel as if this is where Sonia, your guides, this feels very much Piscean, and there's the water fairy. I want to offer it this week, or this way this week. I feel as if Pisces, you kind of get to recalibrate your intentions about what you want, to look at if you are doing something out of burden or if you're doing it out of celebration. And that's why I feel like telling you these stories about me having this awareness of how I started to build my YouTube channel. I was doing things for such a long time without realizing. I thought I was coming from joy. I thought I was coming from excitement. But when I got deeper, I realized that I wasn't. And in realizing that, I didn't sit in it too much. I just was like, okay, now I have a new platform. Because I think Spirit is trying to alert you to something you're not aware of, and it could be tripping you up. And part of it could be that there are things you've experienced and you're not quite incorporating them into your everyday life just yet. An opportunity to celebrate a wisdom. And right now it may not feel like a wisdom because it feels like a lesson, but it's really not a lesson. It's an opportunity to be accountable for where you're stubborn or where you don't want to shift, because you're like, but this is, if I do this, then this will happen. There's a weird ripple effect, because to me, there's also a slippery slope of, if your needs aren't met, you will feel a little bit stingy, could feel a little angry. They don't, I think Pisces means well, but I think the human experience is so dominant, and that kind of feeling of there's a push-pull between here and there. That, they'll say that a lot, especially when the nodes are in Pisces. If your South Node is in Pisces, you can constantly feel as if, you're not seen, or your humanness is slipping away or being drowned out by others. And so I feel like this is very much feels like it's not about celebration. It's an incorporation of a wisdom. Yeah, it is all perspective. But sometimes when your perspective is attached to another person's opinion, it's hard to hold your own perspective. That's why I like being an Aries rising and a Taurus moon. I'm freaking ridiculously connected to my own opinion. Pardon me. Miss Know-It-All used to be what my mom used to call me. I'd be like, if the shoe fits, baby. All right, here we go with our last sign, Aries rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And this is your card. I always think the Fool is Mars. Willing to go on a pioneering adventure, not quite looking where I'm going because I'm rushing along. But you know what? He looks excited. Let's see where this adventure is taking us, because your adventure is taking you out of Cancer and into Leo. And Mars enjoys being in a fire sign. That'll happen next week. Good, Stephen. You know, that is a real soul's lesson, because everybody has an opinion. You know what they say. And sometimes when we try to play to everybody else's, we just get all twisted up. All right. Here we go. We have Teresa joining the Fool. We have Maya for our Aries rising. We have Aurora, and then we have Yvonne. This is where I think the tense conversation with Pluto comes in, because Aries, one of the challenges, and I know this very much, is you get all these inspired ideas, and then sometimes follow through becomes a little bit challenging. Either you get distracted with a new idea, or results don't come quick enough. And this is where Pluto's like, slow your roll, dig deep. What do you really want? And Pluto's kind of holding Mars in an energy. Mars is like, I don't want to look that deeply into this. And Pluto's like, yeah, we're going to. Teresa and the Cow, Maya and the Trust card, Aurora and the Joy card, Yvonne and the Bee. Okay, so this is what I want to say for my Aries, because you have Jupiter at the very last degrees. You have Chiron sitting in your house, and have for a while, and will continue to. So that always will represent sort of a wound of self, and of how the self is being received by others. So I think that what's going on here is this Fool is really offering you an opportunity to go your own way, to have your own opinions, and to dig deep, deep, deep into what it is you want to endeavor. What cliffs are you willing to walk on to have your dreams come true? Because I think that in order to truly feel the abundance you want, you might have to let go of other people's opinions of what you're doing, or the viability of your success. You know, this might be traumatizing for those of you that love Bob Dylan, but I always wondered how Bob Dylan became successful. Yes, he was a great songwriter, but I personally don't think his voice is that great. So, you know, if he had been on a singing show today, I don't know if he would win. And yet, to me, his vibration is what his songwriting was, his authenticity, his graveliness, his being himself is what everybody responded to. Now, maybe that reference isn't so great for you youngins out there, but I got to go with what I know, because I think that's what Mars has to offer you right now. That's what's going on with this Fool. Mars is opposition, or it's growing opposition, which will be happening at the end of May, or the last 2 weeks of May, is asking you, are you willing to be a pioneer, a bit of a fool to others, so that you can actually receive the bounty and the new beginnings and the abundance that you want? But if you keep worrying about what other people are thinking, I'm not sure it's going to happen, because now is an opportunity for you to learn trust as you go your own way. This 47 reduces down to an 11. So now I'm thinking differently than other people. I'm thinking, oh no, I'm doing things other people don't necessarily think are good for me, or good, period. And oh no. But now I'm starting to succeed. I'm starting to feel the viability. Money's coming in. I'm starting to be able to support myself, because Aurora is saying that you have joy coming if you're willing to jump off the ledge of your own dreams. And there is the 1037, another indication of my thoughts, of how I'm processing my thoughts. Because here's Yvonne offering you victory if you're willing to be vulnerable to your out of the box way of being right now. You're out of the box. I really think that Mars's 7-month stint in Gemini was not just, running through the neighborhood causing fights and arguments, but really assessing, like, is my everyday life playing to what I want to experience? Am I communicating in a way with myself and others that's moving my dreams forward, or am I somehow caught in a loop? And in doing so, now the Fool this week, and the tense conversation that's going to start and go on. It's not just a day or two. It's going to go on, because the idea that these are big, loud planets, Mars is loud, and Pluto, while it's small, it's potent. And so this isn't just a 1 or 2 degree orb. We're going to feel this for a while. And then the minute Mars moves out of the way, Venus is going to come in and start having this conversation all over again. And that conversation now is going to be about actually putting my skills out on the table, actually putting my bet, my chips in. And all of this is going to be a little bit scary. But at the same time, Aries, you have so much opportunity for success if you're willing to be vulnerable. And part of that vulnerability is being willing to have not everybody agree with whatever. Or, what I would do, I just zip my lip. I wouldn't tell everybody what it is that I was endeavoring because they may think you're crazy. So when I started this work, I think my family perceived me like somebody with a crystal ball and some sort of gypsy garb. And even after 9 years of working for myself and doing this work, I still don't think they believe it's a viable option. And if I listened to them, I'd be so miserable. So you're going to have to be a little rogue. Hey, Les, welcome to the room. Good to see you. Hi, Elizabeth. Good to see you in the room. Okay, guys, this is it for this week. And I would just again want to announce 2 things. Number 1, we are taking Mother's Day off. I will record the weekly, but we will not do the live. I'm doing that because I really want Small Wildflowers to enjoy 2 weeks off. She's worked so hard and never, ever, ever complains, never asks for time off. So if I don't make her take it, she won't. Number 2, I would like to ask you all to send prayers to Small Wildflowers and her granddaughter. I'm calling her Wee Wildflowers because she's just 4 years old. She's having a little bit of a health issue. They've taken her to the ER yesterday and they've done tests, but they're waiting the results. So if we can all send prayers for her granddaughter to feel well and to come back into physical balance, that would be great. She would really appreciate that. She did tell me that I had permission to let you all know. And I told her the power of the pack and the prayer that they can say for you can really help us all. So that's it. If you want to get an astrology reading, I am available. If you want to get an angel reading, just reach out to me, send me an email, and bear with me. This retrograde has thrown all my emails into the junk folder, the ones I'm responding to and the ones I'm receiving. So I've gotten a little bit better about looking, but it took a while for me to catch up with that. So, all right, everybody, have a wonderful week. I'll see you in 2 weeks live, but we'll be back next week with your weekly. All right, everybody. Peace out. Love you all. And I mean it.